My name is Colby Young. I am the creator of For the King. I am a co-founder of Iron Oak Games, and I'm currently the lead designer. I started working on this game. I called it the Black Gate. It was just this board game I was making. It was based off of Ultima. It's created by Richard Garriott, so he's kind of one of my game design heroes. I just became obsessed with it, and I worked on it like day and night, and yeah, and eventually it just turned into like this really fun thing. I was sharing with people online, like in the Ultima community, and they were really excited about it.
My name is Gordon Moran, and I'm a co-founder and art director here at Iron Oak Games. Well, it was Colby's brainchild, and he had started by making the board game version, blended the two aspects of both those genres into something. So we've taken aspects from traditional board games, and we've taken aspects from more sort of old school JRPG style our video games, and yeah, combine them into For the King.
My name's Sterling Anderson. I've known Colby and Gord quite a long time. I moved to Vancouver in 2009. I met Gord pretty much straight away because of Colby, because I went to high school with Colby. So I've known Colby going back 20 years plus. I have a couple early first experiences with For the King. I would say the very first one is when it started as an idea. It was a board game at Colby's house. So one day, Gord and I are over there, we're playing this board game. We didn't know it was For the King, but it was For the King. And we put 8 hours into this board game until the wee hours of the night, and then I got stuck on an island with the boat deed. Those guys were on a different island. Game over. 8 hours. That was the introduction to For the King before it was For the King.
I'm Mike. I'm a developer for Iron Oak Games. I do a lot of development focused on gameplay, dungeons, multiplayer, and whatever other mechanics that we need to jump on and make the game more fully featured and fun. How I found For the King was my D&D groups just were so inconsistent as one would experience, and I really wanted to scratch that itch, and I ended up stumbling upon the early access for the King. Kind of went through that way. It was a little rough at first, but I fell in love with the game, and I started playing, and I've been playing ever since.
I would describe For the King 2 to a new player by saying it's a turn-based RPG. It is a strategy game. There's lots of resource management. For the King 2 actually features more of like mission campaigns as opposed to the first game, so it's got a kind of a longer narrative to it. And yeah, it can be enjoyed by hardcore players to casual players. We've had people who play with their kids, and the kids are completely engaged with it, to people who play single player by themselves and really enjoy like the number side of the game, and yeah, like the whole min-maxing aspect of it. So two completely different spectrums, and they enjoy it equally for different reasons.
I'm J. Nicholas Havelman. Everybody calls me J. Nick, and I'm a developer here at Iron Oak Games. I started with them very, very early in their first project. Basically, as soon as they went live with version 1 out of early access. At its core, it is just a tabletop game. It is a complete digital board game with all the conveniences of the digitalness that a video game can bring, but the classicness of that adventure style tiles and dice rolls and cards and colors and unknown things that happen to you at any given time. I think it speaks to tabletop gamers in that way. Building FTK 2 was never about finding one new major thing, because I think FTK 1 has a unique formula, and it's a very strong formula that even to this day people haven't managed to copy that well. FTK 2 to me is just adding a little bit of flair on everything that's there. Just cranking up the formula just a little bit with a little extra flavor here and there. The larger maps, the more proceduralism in the maps, the more variation in the adventures you're gonna get. Obviously the new graphic style and art style adds so much more flavor to look at.
The new art style allows us to put a little bit more detail and life into the world, whereas the low poly aesthetic of For the King 1, you couldn't really get that level of detail with it, but now we're able to explore a little bit more detail and sort of bring that life. And the ocean and the water environments are looking really great. We're using some new tools there to make our water really shine. Dropstone Badlands is the one that's returning from FDK1 with the lava fields and volcanoes. That's going to look pretty spiffy. But in reality, they're all looking really cool. We're all really happy with how they're looking.
Yeah, For the King 2 actually takes a little bit of a closer look at Ferrule. You'll find that it's almost like you've taken the lens and you've zoomed in slightly. So now you can get to know the characters a little bit better. You can get to know the biomes a little bit more. We've added things like roads and stuff, which you never would have seen before, and the world just feels a little bit more rich. We've added a lot of new fun biomes. There's a lot of familiar ones too, so you're going to be seeing, you know, the Guardian Forest and all that, but new places that you've never experienced either. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
One of the few critiques we had on For the King 1 was that when you sat down in the adventure, you were there for the long haul. And if you're there, it could be a long adventure. It could be 10 hours, 12 hours. It's a really long playthrough. So in For the King 2, we still have a really long adventure, but we've broken it down into more of an adventure campaign style. And you still have this really long, detailed story to get through in the land of Ferrule, but you can do it at your own pace in your own time now, and you can break it down into bite-sized chunks, or you can play these really long sessions with your friends.
Some of the big changes, like the tactical style of combat that we're going to with a grid, that's a big improvement. That's a big change.
So yeah, the battle grid in For the King 2 is quite a versatile system. For the King 1 players are quite used to the 3-character 1-2-3 system. In the battle grid, you're going to have a new sense of movement. You're going to be able to move around burning areas. You're going to be able to poison areas and push people into them. The sense of movement really plays into the gameplay. It gives you new strategies to set up. It gives you new situations to get out of. It really expands the world of For the King in terms of its combat, and I think fans are going to be quite excited on what new features we're going to use the battle grid system for.
One of the new mechanics that we're adding to For the King 2 is mercenaries and followers. Mercenaries is really cool. Works like you would think like a mercenary. You walk into town, walk into that dusty saloon, you find a guy saddled up to the bar, you pay him some money, and he's going to go out on your adventure with you. We have a whole bunch of different classes that you can hire. They're going to have different perks, different abilities, so that way you can kind of mix and match your play style with your mercenary to your party, and more importantly to the adventure that you're on.
Mercenaries and pets are a new addition to the game. It's one of the new features that we're really excited about, and what's neat about it is you can now change the dynamics of your party mid-game by hiring, say, an archer or a magic user. You can fill in gaps where your strategies may be falling a little bit short. So if you need to tackle a really difficult dungeon, you might want to bring in some extra firepower and go hire, like, you know, a powerful mercenary in town. He can help you kind of overcome like a few obstacles for the cost of gold, of course. The pets are also really fun. Essentially you can find encounters in the wild, and using like just, you know, slot rolls and everything, the reward of an encounter can be that you've befriended a wolf or a spider or an eagle or something like that. So they're a little bit squishier, so maybe they won't last like the entire campaign, but like it's just kind of a fun element that kind of adds to like the whole story of the adventure, and they can, like, you know, aid you in combat a little bit, and yeah, so it's pretty fun.
So I think fans are going to love some of the new features like Mercs, where you can take a wolf companion, or you can go hire a buddy at a tavern and go dungeon crawling with them, or even jump on a land boat and go for a nice cruise along the lands of Ferrule. I think land boats really adds to that sense of movement. I think, you know, in For the King 1, boat travel was so integral to having to get from place to place, especially if there's a body of water in your way. Now, the land of Ferrule is so large that you're going to need to get around a lot faster, a lot quicker, and with a lot more friends. And that kind of brings us to having 4 players that you can all jump in the land boat with. And, you know, we'll find times where we're jumping out of the land boat having to deal with like a naughty goblin, or sometimes we'll just want to go and grab the nearest loot.
I love playing For the King with my friends because you get to share in this seemingly simple adventure that always goes off the rails. And it speaks to me in the same way that playing D&D does. And I know they're wildly different mechanically, but that emotional feeling you get from what's going to happen, oh my god, we screwed up, or the rush of needing to finish something on time or deal with your resources, it's all the same, right? And sharing that with other friends is really the best part about it.
The way we describe co-op on For the King is hilarious misfortune. And that's exactly what makes it fun to play with your friends. It's great as a single player game as well, but with a group of friends, it really sort of harkens to that traditional tabletop experience that you might have with a bunch of people sitting around a table, laughing at their misfortunes as well as your own misfortunes, and it makes some of the defeats easier to handle, and the victory.
Valiant adventurers once fought to bring peace to the realm of Farul and avenge a murdered king. But now, a new peril threatens its people. The once peaceful and benevolent queen has turned against her subjects, casting Farul into darkness and despair. The resistance is rising, and the fight for freedom has begun. Adventurers will travel far and wide to prevail. Victories will be hard fought, requiring strategy, strength, and courage. New alliances must be forged to bolster our ranks. The fate of Farul lies in the hands of the Resistance. The time to act is now. Will you join us, adventurer?